Absolutely. Start Fast Ventures is a fund that's located all across the contiguous U.S. We have our headquarters in Syracuse, New York, and Rochester, New York. So we're a bunch of upstate people. We typically focus on being very founder friendly. All the managing partners have been operators themselves. So we have a lot of compassion for what founders go through. And we're particularly interested in making investments in B2B SaaS companies. Our stage focus is the seed and A round. And our geographic focus is everywhere but Silicon Valley and the heart of Manhattan. I really appreciate this question because people have a wide variety of different definitions, as you pointed out. What we like to see for a seed investment, particularly one that we might lead, would be a company that has some evidence of product market fit. So they're not pre-revenue, they've already got a little bit of traction, and they've got some growth, identifiable and measurable growth going on. That usually means that the reason for the funding is to expand sales and marketing and deal with the working capital needs of a growing business. Now, in the A round stage, the company should be solidly inside the range of product market fit and really be looking for growth capital to accelerate their trajectory. And we would generally say that any capital raise that's for the purpose of an acquisition is probably post A round, maybe B or C round. Well, it's entirely stage dependent. So let's say if you're pre-seed round, you're really bootstrapping the company, or you've got a little bit of angel money or friends and family money. At that stage, the go-to-market strategy is very much hand-to-hand combat and bespoke. You're looking for any source of revenue, and you're really maybe a pivot or two or even three away from finding the market that is your sweet spot. So when we start getting into a seed stage company, we're looking for a company that has some evidence that they've found the market that they should be going after. And so they may have pivoted a few times already. Now, I have had the experience of having 3 pivots after a seed financing. So, we're not always right. But when I say some evidence, what I really mean is that, first of all, number one, the company can define its market. And that means it's an identifiable market that an analyst or a market researcher would be able to identify in the literature as a definable market. We're past the stage at this point where the company is making up its own category and saying, well, we don't have any competitors because we're in this very unique category. And I always like to say a market without competitors is probably not where you want to be, because that probably means you also have no customers in that market. So the number one factor would be a definable market. Now, the other part of go-to-market that I really like to emphasize is having a predictable and reliable way to close sales. So what does this mean? This means that I have a methodology. I have perhaps a sales playbook that I've written so that my sales force, as it grows, doesn't require the CEO to close every deal. We can see the beginnings of the opportunity to scale by having a defined method to find prospects, to filter those prospects, to express our company's unique value proposition, to make a business case, to present an offer, and to close. Wonderful question. It's also difficult and stage dependent. So let's say your company is pre-product market fit. One of the most expensive mistakes you can make at that point is to hire sales professionals and scale the sales team, because it's a little too early to do so. So what is one to do? We know that maybe the founders, maybe the CEO can close a sale. What should the next hire be if we're not sure we have product market fit, but we want to start exploring how to go to market faster than we can with only the founders or only the CEO being able to close a sale? My recommendation is to seriously consider hiring a product manager. Now, product manager is not an obvious hire for scaling sales, and yet the product manager is really going to understand the market and the product and how they're going to interact. He or she will be absolutely the owner of the product's value proposition and in a very good position to play, let's say, a mini CEO and to be able to close sales, but unlike the average sales professional, be more able to pivot as pivots are necessary when you're looking for product market fit. Product manager also brings a lot of discipline and a lot of focus to the organization. Early organizations can sometimes get accused of running after shiny objects, when in reality, they're probably running after revenue and cash flow. But a skilled and experienced product manager can fulfill the role of closing early sales, but also listening to the market and focusing the product development resources on exactly what the next pivot may be. Now, take it to a little bit later stage. You have some evidence of product market fit. You're starting to get inbound interest. You're starting to see the sales cycle shorten. It's no longer a long process of the CEO talking to somebody and close this sale. You actually already have a product that unmodified is selling and is getting repeat business and ongoing business. At that point, you can begin to hire sales professionals. You want to be careful, though, with the early hires, because those early hires are going to have to build the team, set the tone, and probably define and redefine the closing strategy. That sales playbook I referred to in the last question, your early hire may be tasked with writing, editing, rewriting that sales playbook so that you know exactly what kind of sales team to build. That can be an expensive hire. And again, don't do it too early. Wait for some evidence of product market fit before bringing in your first sales professional, and certainly before building out the team. There's some easy ones and then there's some hard ones. So from an investor point of view, I love to invest in entrepreneurs who are solving a problem that they themselves had. In other words, they have deep subject matter expertise. They've demonstrated that they truly understand their market by, before founding the company, being one of those market participants. A great example of that would be if you're selling to architecture firms, wouldn't it be nice if one of the founders ran an architecture firm, or more of the founders ran an architecture firm? If you're selling to industrial IoT buyers, wouldn't it be great if there was a decade-long history in manufacturing? Now, that one's fairly easy, an easy answer for an investor to give. Look for deep subject matter expertise. The harder ones are, when the team doesn't have those, but still has developed a great understanding. So so we have to look deeper. How did they develop the understanding of their market? Were they an analyst in the market, or have they just learned through customer interactions? And can then I interview those customers and really get from the customers a sense of the depth of understanding and how sticky this product is likely to be? So those are really two, easy and harder. Of course, this is a key question, and it requires a little bit of creativity to find the answer sometimes. First of all, it is a spectrum, a continuum. It's not a single point in history. And we are always in the process of getting farther along that continuum towards product market fit. But there's a few signs that I look for and that our team looks for in particular. And the easiest place for us to look is really to look at the numbers. Are sales growing without, we're not buying accounts, right? And I can show that we're not throwing massive numbers of people at buying accounts, but if the number of accounts is increasing without a huge outsized expenditure, then that's an indication. The other simple thing to look at is I want to make sure that the product is productized and that we're not just doing custom project work. We're not building new features for every account. Now there's, again, a continuum. Sometimes to win a really big sale, I might have to promise a feature or shift priorities on my product roadmap. That's a far cry from really customizing for every customer. So there's a little bit of subtlety there. But if the company is growing, if sales are growing, and if the product is productized, then there's some evidence of product market fit. The rest is a question of degrees. So I think there are some academic definitions that talk about 40% of the business coming from referrals, word of mouth, and inbound market interest, representing some apex point of product market fit. I would just put all of that analysis into the continuum. Obviously, the farther a company is along in that process, as long as their market opportunity is relatively large, we're going to value that company as being a little less risky than one that's a little sooner in that continuum. And as any investor, we're always making choices. I've got 10,000 deals in front of me. Which 5 am I going to put money into? That's the problem. I'm not looking for 5 deals. I'm looking to filter out 99.95% of the deals that come across my desk. Much easier task to try and pick the best 5 out of a large population. And so that's where that continuum comes in handy with all the other factors that we're looking at above and beyond market size and product market fit. Very much for that question. I've been an entrepreneur my whole career. I dropped out of a PhD program to start my first company, and then I've never looked back. So I'm 7 companies later in the process of being a founder or a co-founder, and I've had the good fortune to invest in over 60 companies through my investing career. And this gives me a really interesting perspective. As a founder of 7 different companies in 7 different industries, there's certain lessons that apply consistently across all those experiences. And in terms of rolling up the sleeves, if we're leading around a seed round, say, we're going to offer to take a board seat. We're going to be right there working along with the company to help with recruiting and governance and strategy. And then some of the just nuts and bolts things like, how do I type of questions. Think of a podcaster that has an ask me anything. Well, we're like always on 100% duty cycle with ask me anything. It could be one day, it could be, how do I deal with this problem employee situation? How do I recruit the person I'm looking for? How can I negotiate with this customer or this supplier? And these day-to-day types of things, we're there. We're part of the journey. And sometimes these journeys are decade-long relationships. I mean, we're there from the moment we invest $1 until the exit where we no longer have any stock in the company. So it frequently becomes a close friendship. As a case study, I would share with you just a tiny little bit of the story about my partner, Mike, who's managing partner in Start Fast Fund 2. Mike was actually one of 2 founders of a company called SpinCar. And SpinCar was one of the most successful investments that we made in StartFast Fund 1. So I met Mike in 2013 when he was looking to raise some capital. And a decade later, we're partners in Fund 2. And by the way, SpinCar has done extremely well as a B2B SaaS in the automotive merchandising space. I'll start with B2B SaaS is stronger than ever. There are more and more opportunities for disrupting non-SaaS ways of doing business, more and more opportunities to integrate the many business processes. And second to that, I would say, as we come out of COVID, I think we'll notice that the new normal is not like the old normal. I think things have changed permanently. For example, companies are now completely accepting of remote work, which makes them more open to opportunities for software as a service and for entrepreneurial companies to come in and work with established businesses. In addition to the increased mobility of the workforce, and then in terms of the venture markets themselves, I'm extremely excited about how dynamic the venture market is, how everything seems to have been accelerated, and this may be an outcome of COVID, but we're seeing tremendous acceleration. We like to pride ourselves on being able to do deals fast and make decisions quickly. Well, that's become table stakes now. There are no more long due diligence cycles. It's a very, very dynamic market. Now, in terms of areas that I'm personally excited about for disruption, healthcare is huge. We're seeing that accelerated by COVID with all of the telemedicine, but more and more technology is becoming available that's really going to hit the ground running in healthcare over the next few years. I have a background in AI. I'm very excited about machine learning and about other applications, practical applications of AI. I think cybersecurity is having a moment. I think it's very exciting there. But we're not limited to those particular areas, but just some of the things I'm really enjoying looking at.
Very good, very good. Well, you referenced a number of great factors here today, Chuck, and particularly as it relates to just a few of those industries. And I know we've got quite a bit of that in our audience, as well as anyone that may watch. So should anyone find any affinity or fit from what they've heard today, how do they best go about engaging StartFast?
Sure. I mean, the best thing to do is just shoot an inbound email. We do read them all, and we do take a look, and we respond to all of them as well. So they can send an email to inbound interest, myco@startfastventures.com. And we'll be more than happy to take a look. And, we're pretty mentorship oriented, accessible folks, all of us. So even if you don't have a business yet and you just have a question, feel free to reach out.
That's awesome. And so was all the information and insight you provided today, Chuck. It was great to hear your perspective, and it's much needed. And I know the founders in the community will take great benefit from that. So from all of us, thank you for taking the time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Verlin. Great to meet you.
Absolutely. You too. And thank you for all of you out there for watching. You've seen StartFast Ventures information on the side of your screen. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week.